by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
8,000 Starbucks restaurants will close around the United States this afternoon. The decision comes after 2 black men were arrested in one of the restaurant's chains last month. I'm Laura Podesta. I'll tell you what will be discussed in today's training sessions.
And in news a little closer to home, a new daily rainfall total is set in Billings as waters rise and flooding concerns grow. Coming up, a look how the weekend rain is affecting the flooding potential across the state.
6:30 on this Tuesday. Chelly and Missy O'Malley with you. We're going to start on the national scene this half hour. 8,000 Starbucks restaurants around the country will be closing this afternoon for training purposes.
That's right. Employees will undergo anti-bias instruction. Now, the decision came after 2 black men were arrested for sitting in a Starbucks in Philadelphia. CBS's News' Laura Podesta reports on what will be discussed in today's sessions.
8,000 Starbucks are closing this afternoon starting after 2 p.m. so that workers can receive racial bias training. The decision comes after this situation last month when 2 black men meeting in a Philadelphia Starbucks were asked to leave and then arrested by police minutes later.
What did they get called for? Because there are 2 black guys sitting here meeting me? Yes.
The coffee chain's leaders publicly apologized and reached out to activists and experts in bias training to put together today's curriculum.
This is not going to be a one-day event where we're going to do something and leave. We're going to stay with this.
Starbucks says each store will receive a toolkit using video and discussion. The first training will focus on understanding racial bias and the history of public accommodations in the United States. Experts say working as a group can mitigate bias.
If we have a serious doubt about a customer, then ask 3 people's perspective on what I should do before taking a serious action like calling the police.
While company-operated stores will close today, licensed stores like those in hotels or airports are expected to remain open. Laura Podesta, CBS News, New York.
Now, Starbucks is sharing its training content with licensed business partners so they can make the option to have it available for their employees at a later date.
In other headlines this morning, a flood warning in effect for the Yellowstone River near Billings. Authorities are asking residents and onlookers to please stay away from the dangerous water's edge. In the latest report, Yellowstone River running at 13 feet 3 inches. National Weather Service office in Billings says the Yellowstone will likely hit its highest point early Wednesday morning, peaking somewhere around 13.6. That is a much more manageable number than the 16 feet the Weather Service was preparing for over the weekend. But just because it's better, that means it could have been, does not mean that this is not a serious event. So again, stay away from the water. Just let things chill out there. Don't be a looky-loo.
We're pretty used to that this time of year, but man, it is raging in several of these rivers.
Now, some of the downtown areas in Billings, excuse me, flowing down the streets in some of the places there with that rainfall they had, record rainfall yesterday.
I've lived in Billings, and there's times that their little sewage system can't handle it.
Yeah.
So
that was a lot of water to dump into
That's a
one
lot
time.
of water,
No kidding.
for sure. You look at the map this morning, still a lot of green. That does include Billings back toward Livingston for the Yellowstone River. We're going to talk more in depth about that coming up. Current temperatures into the 40s and 50s. 46 this morning in West Yellowstone. Looks like we're going to be dealing with pretty sunny skies for the most part. It's going to be a beautiful start to the day temperature-wise. By the afternoon, we should be into the 70s. Tomorrow, we could be talking some strong storms. We'll, of course, break down your complete forecast in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Matt. 6:33 now on this Tuesday. Emergency crews responded yesterday morning to a trailer fire on Wilson Creek Road in Gallatin Gateway. Jill Joyce, who shot this video, said she heard 2 explosions about 4:45 Monday morning, and then the whole trailer went up in flames. No one inside the trailer at the time, fortunately, and officials with Gallatin County Sheriff's Office say it may have been a wiring issue that caused that blaze.
And in just 1 week, Montana voters go to the polls for the 2018 primary election. MTN's Mike Dennison gives us an update on what the landscape looks like as campaigns enter their home stretch.
2 major statewide contests are topping Montana's primary election ballot, but it is a primary, so we can only vote in one of them. I'm talking about the 4-way Republican primary to choose a GOP opponent for Democratic Senator John Tester, and the 5-way Democratic primary to select that party's challenger to first-term Republican Congressman Greg Gianforte. The big money contest is the Senate Republican primary. featuring Big Sky businessman Troy Downing, former State District Judge Russ Fagg of Billings, State Senator Al Olszewski of Kalispell, and State Auditor Matt Rosendale. The candidates have raised and spent about $4 million, but another $2.7 million has been spent by outside groups trying to influence the outcome. Almost all of that has come from conservative groups supporting Rosendale, the likely frontrunner. But in a four-way primary, the outcome is far from certain. The same goes for the Democratic House primary, where there are actually 6 candidates on the ballot, but former State Senator Linda Moss of Billings has suspended her campaign. That leaves Billings attorney John Heenan, former Land Trust Director Grant Keir of Missoula, Bozeman attorneys John Meyer and Jared Pettinato, and former state lawmaker Kathleen Williams, also of Bozeman. Heenan, Keir, and Williams are the best-funded candidates and are likely to fight it out for the nomination. And let's not forget the Green Party. It has its own contested primary for the U.S. Senate between Steve Kelly and Tim Adams, both from Bozeman. But if you choose the Green Party ballot to decide this contest, you can't vote in any Democratic or Republican Party primary. One-party ballot is all you get. Of course, these aren't the only contested races on the primary ballot. Voters will decide scores of legislative primaries and races for local office, such as sheriff. There's a four-way Republican primary for the Public Service Commission seat in northern Montana, and a three-way Democratic primary for the PSC seat that includes Kalispell and Helena. We also could be looking at an above-average turnout. Voters go to the polls a week from Tuesday on June 5th. But as of this weekend, more than 110,000 Montanans had already voted with absentee ballots. Thousands more will do the same this week. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
And Mike wants to add, just so you know, you can register to vote right up to and on Election Day.
In other news, American fallen heroes were honored at an annual community Memorial Day service at Highland Cemetery in Great Falls yesterday for Memorial Day. MTN's Margaret DeMarco gives us the sights and sounds.
Ready, fire!
We remember these heroes with reverence and a grateful heart, for without their commitment and service in our armed forces, America would not be what it is today.
Left, face.
Let us not forget the lost, the wounded, and all of those who have served on behalf of our great nation.
Ready, go!
President Franklin Roosevelt said, "Those who have long enjoyed such privileges as we enjoy, forget in time that men have died to win them." While Memorial Day is a time of remembrance, it is also a time for us in uniform to reaffirm our own commitment of selfless service.
Always nice to see the sights and sounds.
Beautiful ceremonies around the state. We're glad to be able to bring some of those to you here on Montana this morning.
Sunshine as well. So
absolutely.
That's much appreciated. We want you to stay with us since it is Tuesday. That means it is time for another round of your Montana-made product of the week. In a moment, we head to Great Falls to learn all about the farmer's daughter.
But first, let's check in with Nora O'Donnell, see what's coming up at 7 on CBS this morning.
Ahead and first on CBS this morning, Starbucks Executive Chairman Howard Schultz is in Studio 57 with a preview of the racial bias training that later today is closing down stores nationwide. And faster internet is coming to parts of the country. Why 5G technology is causing outrage in some neighborhoods. We'll see you right at 7.